This is exactly what Dominic Perrottet would have hoped for, that nothing would have been lost, that no votes peeled away at the last minute. This is an overwhelming win and exactly the way Mr Perrottet would like to start his premiership. There's no doubt about that, because when you look at the last 2 decades, there hasn't been a Liberal Party leadership ballot since 2002. There have been transitions, uncontested. This is as good, in my mind, as an uncontested leadership transition. 39-5, emphatic show of authority over his party room, and an ability now to start his leadership unencumbered by any risks or doubts about the loyalty of his party room members. Now, just another point to make. I know that Dominic Perrottet, some have derided him as being too conservative, his religion and so on. Let me just say, Laura and Andrew, I know Western Sydney well. It is an area that there are many devout people of all sorts of faith, and they won't appreciate people having a crack at him over his faith. If you look at the same-sex marriage vote, absolutely, Western Sydney, most of those seats, if not all of them, I think from memory, voted in favour of not, so against legalising same-sex marriage. Just keep that in mind, I think, for our viewers as well, when we look at the political equation. This is not an easy beat for Labor next election. People deriding Dominic Perrottet do that at their own peril. And I say that in the context of the electoral situation as much as the faith and belief structures around those who live in Sydney. I think it would be folly to deride and underestimate Dominic Perrottet simply because of his strong religious faith.
And Kieran, to that point, your faith becomes an issue politically if it influences the policy.
That's right. So
with Mike Baird, greyhound ban, lockout laws, he was continuing Barry O'Farrell's policy, but there became a view that that there was an element of wowserism coming into those decisions. I don't see Dominic Perrottet making those mistakes. He's a bit more from that Scott Morrison mould of he'll have a beer in the pub with you, he'll go to the races, he'll go to sport, he's a family man. You know, all that stuff really works in New South Wales, and I think it can work for him. But it's a huge challenge coming up because things are opening up. The economy is going to be in a difficult position. The budget is in a complete mess. And we're going to see school closures because kids are inevitably going to get the virus, and let's all pray none of them get it bad. And it's just not going to be a clear-cut, black and white, as Gladys Berejiklian used to say, Freedom Day situation. There's so much to navigate. And in a way, that can be a bit of an asset because it challenges you, it brings your profile to the limelight. If you see it as a positive, it tests your leadership skills. And I do think Dominic Perrottet has some leadership skills. It's how he manages his colleagues and the cabinet process and people older than him, frankly, which is going to test out his maturity. That'll be interesting to him. Notwithstanding, I think having 6 children gives you a fair degree of maturity of itself.
Flexibility, spontaneity, all of that with 6 children, a very full household. Looking at this result today, you cannot pick someone more different, really, than Gladys Berejiklian in the faction of the party, in his family and personal life. But Kieran and Andrew, I think you both touched on a really important point, that whilst Dominic Perrottet is a Christian conservative, these are beliefs that guide him personally. He does not, and I have not seen any evidence of him willing to push that ideology on his colleagues or into policy. And I think that is a very important distinction here. Is he in politics because of his Christian conservative faith? I don't think so.